Hello everyone, Dayn Peters here, and today I'm going to be talking about a new feature in Windows 10 called Cortana, and then a couple of apps that I think are pretty handy and cool. One is Rainmeter, and the other is called Phrase Express. So let's get started with Cortana. Cortana is Microsoft's, basically their answer to Apple's Siri. It's a digital personal assistant. It has really a ton of features in it. There's not a lot within the operating system that it doesn't do. It can manage your calendars and contacts, set reminders, can be integrated to work with Facebook, Foursquare, and other services, and everything that it does can be set up to work with voice control. You can even set it up so that all you need to do is say the phrase, "Hey Cortana," and the service will pop up and start listening for whatever command you want to give it. And that can be anything from setting an alarm, checking the weather, to searching for local files and on the internet at the same time. Now, this all sounds really cool, and it is, but one of the drawbacks to Cortana is that in order for it to work properly and give you all of the services that Microsoft wants it to be able to give you, it needs to collect a lot of your data. When Cortana is turned on, it collects and sends back to Microsoft things like your contact list, your calendars, even your writing patterns and typing history, along with your emails, subject lines, even your voice commands are recorded and then later sent back to Microsoft servers for analysis. They do this not only to help Cortana work better and make the experience more personalized, but they're also using that data to better know how to advertise to you, the user. One of the reasons the Windows 10 update was free is because of the amount of data collection that Microsoft is doing. It's helping them bring in more revenue. They're no longer trying to make the most money off of selling the operating system when they can go the way of companies like Facebook, where they can continue to make money off of you as long as you're using their operating system by using your information to sell you products, be it from them or from third-party advertisers that buy information from Microsoft that they collect. When you install Windows 10 initially, all of these options to send information to Microsoft are set to on by default. You can turn them off. For instance, you can turn off the voice recognition and Cortana will still work. But there are quite a few settings that if you turn them off, Cortana just stops working altogether. Your location setting, it won't work if you decide that you don't want them to track your location. If you don't want to use a Microsoft ID, to log into Windows, Cortana won't work. So as you can see here, I've opted to opt out of sending information back to Microsoft, and Cortana gets turned off, and it just reverts you right back to the old search bar that is present in previous versions of Windows, where it just searches for apps, files, and settings locally. And if you go to turn Cortana back on, you see they give you their little privacy statement to let her do her best work. Here's a small summary of the information that they collect from you. Of course, that's not everything. They're still kind of vague about what it is exactly that they collect. People are discovering more and more every day about how Windows 10 is sending your data back to Microsoft, even if you have Cortana turned off. So in a nutshell, I think Cortana is a pretty cool feature. It's definitely, a nice idea, but I think that users just sort of need to decide for themselves whether it's worth it to, send all of that personal information back to Microsoft for them to use for their own purposes, or whether, basically anything that can be done in Cortana can be done in a web browser that most of us spend, 90% of the time we're on our computer, we're in a web browser where you can pretty easily pull up the weather or, search a wiki or do anything that you could do in Cortana. You just might not be able to voice control it. So next, let's move on to the first app I'm going to talk about, Rainmeter. It's a desktop customization app. I've been running it for about 6 months now, and I really like it. It's a free open source program that kind of works like widgets did in Windows 7. You can program it, customize it however you want. It has a pretty easy to follow language that it's programmed in, and it can also be made to use Lua scripts. And you can use it to do a whole lot with your desktop. It doesn't replace the start menu, but people have done some pretty far out stuff with there. This guy has a I'm guessing music bars right here, a cool little volume knob, word of the day, weather. Basically, the only limitation to what you can do with it is how much time you're willing to put into programming it. This person has the start menu hidden, and you can put your own links in there to really do some cool stuff with desktop customization. This one, that doesn't even look like Windows anymore. Has a cool little weather script going up here where it doesn't tell you the temperature, but just you need a jacket. It's chilly out, but not windy. And one of the nice things about this app is even if you don't want to spend a whole lot of time programming it to have your desktop look this level of customization, you can go on, there are at least a dozen different websites where there are thousands and thousands of different skins for the widgets that you can pick and choose from, and it's pretty simple to apply them to your desktop. So for example, this is my desktop, and I'm not running nearly as elaborate a setup as some of those examples I showed, but I have some pretty useful widgets here, a system to monitor system usage, disks monitors my hard drives, and just a little one to monitor network activity. You can just click right there on system, and it pops right up with your task manager, which is pretty handy. And as far as customizing it to your needs goes, it's actually pretty simple. When I first installed the program, the disks widget was only showing 2 hard drives when I have 4 installed in my computer. I've got a couple that I ripped out of old laptops before I trashed them and just used them as extra storage space. But you can go in, you just open it, edits right in Notepad or Notepad++, and it actually has some pretty simple instructions on how to add 2 more disks in there. Just copy and paste and rename. It gives you a very simple walkthrough right from the get-go. Now, obviously, this isn't really an app for everybody. Not everyone wants to have a customized desktop, and it doesn't really add any new functionality to the system. But if you want your desktop to look cool and want it to be unique, then I think it's a really cool way to go. The next app I'm going to talk about is Phrase Express. This is a text expander, auto-completer, kind of like you have on your cell phone for text messaging, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. In addition to the autocomplete like is present in Microsoft Word, this program expands that functionality to just about every program that runs on your computer. It'll work in Explorer, it'll work in Notepad, it'll work in Chrome, but other than just auto-completing, it's kind of a nice way to add some signature macros if you want to, if you're the kind of person who likes to add famous quotes after your email signatures. You can program it to automatically do that. I've set it so that if I am, for instance, for this class, every time I write a paper for this class, I have to put the same little header in there. So now I can just type that, and it will pop everything in there for me automatically, which it saves me a little bit of time just doing the same repetitive thing over and over. It's a handy little function. It'll automatically fix spelling errors for you just like it would in Word. It's not terribly hard to program it. Let's say I want to do the same signature function for my security class. Then I can just type my name and type my security class in there and copy this here. And this will bring me to another interesting feature of this. Instead of just being able to copy one thing at a time to your clipboard, it will actually hold a cache of everything that you've hit copy on, so you can come back and paste in multiple different things. So for here, I'm going to come in and edit this. So have my name here, security 110. I can set it to have a macro that will automatically put in the current date. That just pops right in there. And let's set that to have this with the hashtag after the sec. Have it execute after the delimiter, which is the hashtag there. Set it as OK. And so now the next time when I type in sec and hit pound, it gives me the option to pop that signature right in there. So that's really handy if you send emails, for both business and personal and have different signatures for that. You can program those right in there. Again, it has different famous quotes and salutations. There's a document generator. I've only had this for about 3 days now, so I haven't gotten to play around with too much of the functionality, but it started working as I was typing the essay for this presentation. It started popping up with suggestions even when Microsoft Word wasn't, which was pretty cool. One downside I have noticed is that it does work all the time. For instance, last night I was playing Battlefield and I had that full screened, and I was, jamming down the D button trying to move to my right, and all of a sudden the game froze and it went into windowed mode because the text expander was trying to autocorrect me hitting D over and over and over again, so I had to turn it off. They have a pretty good sort of training tutorial where you can go through and it walks you through the steps and makes sure that you have everything set up to run correctly, which is pretty nice. All in all, I'd say that given time, I think that this program could be pretty handy. It'll make, I'm kind of a slow typer, and it might make sending long emails and typing long essays with repeated words just go a little bit faster, because Microsoft Word doesn't always do a great job of helping you to autocomplete long words and stuff like that. So there you have it. Just to recap, Cortana is a cool feature added into Windows 10. Lets you control a whole lot of the functionality of the operating system, and the fact that you can use voice control to do all of that is really interesting. But I think users need to decide on an individual level whether it's worth it to have that functionality, and at the same time being required to send as much personal data as Microsoft is asking you to give them in order to have that program run. Rainmeter is a really cool app if you're interested in doing some desktop customization, and Phrase Express, if you're a slow typer or ham-fisted like I am, comes in pretty handy and can also cut some time out of repetitive typing tasks. Thanks for watching.